What's going on, everybody, and welcome to Lane's Man Cave. In today's video, I am going to be giving out my predictions for the College Football Awards. Before we get started, I am not going to go through every single award because there are a lot, and some of them mean the same thing. An example, the Bednarik and the Nagurski Award are both for Defensive Player of the Year, but are voted by different people. Same thing with the Heisman and the Maxwell Award. With that out of the way, let's go. Starting off with the Heisman Trophy and the Davey O'Brien Award, I got Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe. Milroe broke out last season after throwing over 2,800 yards, rushing for 500 yards, and 35 total touchdowns, and helped pull an upset against Georgia in the SEC Championship. With offensive mastermind Kalen DeBoer coming in as head coach, Milroe has a chance to elevate his game even further. Milroe's legs are among the most powerful in the country, but his arm is overlooked. He can put the ball anywhere he wants and has the arm strength to do it. Milroe's pure athleticism, paired with a DeBoer-led offense, puts him in the perfect situation to win these awards. For the Doak Walker Award, I got Omarion Hampton. Hampton led the ACC in carries, rushing yards, and rushing touchdowns, and led the nation in yards after contact last season, all behind a subpar offensive line. And with Drake May off to the NFL, Hampton will be the focal point of the Tar Heels offense. Hampton had 7 100-yard games last year, with 5 of them going for 150 yards. His best game came against Appalachian State, where he ran for 234 yards and 3 touchdowns. Hampton isn't the fastest running back, but he is a violent runner and can shed tackles with ease. For the Biletnikoff Award, I got Luther Burden. Burden showed what he was capable of as a true pass catcher last year after being a gadget guy as a freshman. Burden dropped only 2 passes last season and was top 5 in yards after catch, forced missed tackles, and yards after contact. Burden brought Missouri's football program to relevancy after they went 11-2 this past season and is coming into this year as the most proven receiver in college football. For the Mackey Award, I got Colston Loveland. Loveland played a big role in Michigan's national championship run last season and had the second most receiving yards and touchdowns on the team, only behind Roman Wilson, who is now in the NFL, and was 5th in receiving yards out of all tight ends in the country. Loveland's athleticism makes him nearly unguardable and could lead the Wolverines in most receiving stats and could become one of the best tight ends in college football. For the Joe Moore Award, I got Alabama. Bama is coming in with 3 starters returning, with Tyler Booker probably being the best interior offensive lineman in the country. Jaden Roberts was a people mover in his first season as a starter, and they brought in former Washington center Parker Brailsford, who may win this year's Remington Award. Bama is also returning left tackle Caden Proctor, who had an up-and-down freshman season, but could emerge as one of the best tackles in college football as a sophomore, and the right tackle spot will be filled by Elijah Pritchett. For the Bednarik Award and the Outland Trophy, I got Mason Graham. Graham had an excellent freshman season with the Wolverines, but took his game to another level as a sophomore. What separates Graham from the rest is not just his physical tools, but his relentless motor and ridiculous agility for a 300-pounder. Graham has the perfect combination of power and finesse. Even when going up against great offensive lines, his ability to shed blocks and disrupt plays is second to none. Graham is coming off a national championship win last year, and Michigan's defense is still expected to be one of the best in the country. With the way things are going, he should be one of the first defensive players drafted in April. For the Ted Hendricks Award, I got Michael Williams. The Bulldogs have a long list of star defensive linemen that were eventually drafted, and Williams will most likely be joining that group. He followed up his freshman All-American season in 2022 with an All-SEC season last year, with 6.5 tackles for loss and 4.5 sacks. Williams is a great run defender and a developing pass rusher, but his numbers should be better this year, now that he will be lining up as a true edge rusher this season after spending most of his snaps lined up on the inside. For the Butkus Award, I got Harold Perkins. Perkins looked like one of the best players in college football as a true freshman, with 73 tackles, including 14 tackles for loss, 4 forced fumbles, and making first-team All-SEC. Perkins spent his sophomore season playing in more of an off-ball role, which led to slightly worse stats, but a quality season nonetheless. Perkins is a lot better as a pass rusher than in coverage, but he is versatile enough to do both consistently. New LSU defensive coordinator Blake Baker could unleash Perkins as a pass rusher. If so, he could be the most feared defender in the nation. For the Jim Thorpe Award, I got Will Johnson. Johnson immediately lived up to the blue chip hype, allowing a 44% completion percentage and an 11.9 QBR as a true freshman. Last season, as a sophomore, he allowed a 42% completion percentage and a QBR of only 4.3, and won Defensive MVP in the national championship. On 6 targets against Marvin Harrison Jr. and Rome Odunze, who both ended up being top 10 picks in the draft, Johnson allowed 3 catches and made an interception. He has all the physical traits you want in a corner, with excellent speed, footwork, and ball skills. And even though the Wolverines will be looking a lot different this season, they will remain a top defense as long as Johnson anchors the secondary. For the Paul Hornung Award, I got Travis Hunter. I'm just going to keep this one short, because there's really no one else to consider for the award. On top of being one of the best cornerbacks in college football, he had over 700 receiving yards and caught 5 touchdowns. Travis translated immediately against Power 5 competition after spending his freshman season at Jackson State. Travis has the best ball skills out of anyone in college football and could be the number 1 pick in this year's draft. And finally, for the 2025 National Championship, I got Ohio State beating Georgia. We all remember when these two teams faced off in the Peach Bowl 2 years ago, but things are looking different now. Ohio State is returning almost every starter from last season after losing to Michigan 3 years in a row, and brought in quality transfers, including quarterback Will Howard, running back Quinshawn Judkins, and safety Caleb Downs. The Buckeyes are also bringing in true freshman wide receiver Jeremiah Smith, the highest-rated recruit coming out of high school. Smith had a great spring game and is projected to start. As for Georgia, they lost in the SEC championship game to Alabama and fell short of the playoffs. The Bulldogs will be returning standout quarterback Carson Beck, who will be playing behind one of the top offensive lines, a deep group of receivers, and are returning 6 starters on defense. With that, I believe Jeremiah Smith will be offensive MVP for this game, and JT Tuimoloau will be defensive MVP. That's all for today. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications.